Walt Disney Pictures presents The Little Mermaid, Ariel's Beginning. Discover the story you never knew.
There's more to this place than meets the eye.
How one daring mermaid transformed an entire kingdom.
Come on, Sebastian, let's go.
That girl is working on my last claw.
When a friendship was born.
My name's Flounder. Woohoo!
And how music came alive. The Little Mermaid, Ariel's Beginning. An all-new movie on Disney DVD. Coming soon. And you can watch a sneak peek today by logging on to littlemermaiddvd.com.
All it took was Ariel losing her mother to music. No, seriously, music is banned in this movie because Ariel's mother gets killed in an accident, and but that's literally how this whole thing goes. The movie basically is that you have the story that's taking place, the events before the 1989 classic, of course, and the 2000 sequel. And in this one, as I said, all music has been banned from the underwater kingdom of Atlantica by King Triton, and his youngest daughter, Ariel, attempts to challenge this law. And I'll give it this. The most interesting thing about this movie in particular is that I like how, as the Disney direct-to-video movies were kind of winding down at this point, because this was the last of the Disney direct-to-video sequels that they were doing at that point. They would still make direct-to-DVD movies, but they'd be mostly like Air Bud movies or Beverly Hills Chihuahua, or another series of films that we'll get to in just a little bit here. But they got better and better as they went along here. Like, they were looking more like theatrical releases than direct-to-video movies, and that's really the best thing about the movie here, is that the animation in this is really damn good. I mean, this is some really impressive animation overall here. I mean, this is definitely way better than what we saw in Little Mermaid 2, Return to the Sea. I mean, yeah, it's still direct-to-DVD animation, but you could just tell more effort was being put into the animation with these movies as they were dwindling down here. But unfortunately, that's the best thing about the movie in general, and that can't really save the rest of the film, which is really kind of a dud in all the other departments. Let's start with the story. It's literally just Footloose done in the world of The Little Mermaid, and that's about it. I mean, you could pinpoint every single line, every single moment that was taken from Footloose in order to have a story that can be stretched out into a feature-length movie. There is nothing creative or new done with this. I mean, it's not the first time somebody's copied Footloose but has made it work. I mean, Avatar did an episode that was literally just Footloose, and yet it was still a really good episode overall. Except in that one, they're not really singing all that much. It was just like letting kids have fun, especially when Aang has to be as part of the I can't remember what the episode was. Now I can't remember what it was. The Headband is what it was called. It was an episode where they had to go through the Fire Nation, and Aang gets mistaken for somebody who's in one of the Fire Nation schools, and basically he has to pretend that he's a member of the school, and he realizes that none of the other kids there are allowed to be just kids and dance around and have fun and all that type of stuff. And yeah, it's an episode that feels really out of place overall, but in the end, it's still not a bad episode, but it just feels really, really odd to do a Footloose episode in the world of Avatar. It just seemed really, really weird. But back to The Little Mermaid. I mean, even the songs, what was supposed to be the main crux of the movie, they don't really gel all that well. None of them have that same memorability as the songs in the original movie, and you automatically forget them the second they all end. I mean, it's that bad. The voice work overall is very good. I give the film praise for that fact that they got Jodie Benson back as Ariel, and I think you put her in there, and it's instantly worth it right there. I mean, you also have Jim Cummings in the role of King Triton, which you can never go wrong with him. Sebastian's once again played by Samuel E. Wright. I mean, the voice actors they got to replace the other actors, like the Flounder and Ariel's sisters, they were good overall. The biggest problem with the movie overall is the main antagonist, which, man, Sally Field's in this movie playing the villain, and how do you mess that opportunity up? Well, you do it by basically saying that she's essentially a young Ursula, and there's just one problem here. She isn't playing Ursula. She's playing a completely different character who has the same mannerisms and character traits that Ursula does, but it's not Ursula. And to me, that's the biggest fault of the movie by far, because you bring in a completely new character who could have easily been written as Ursula and have it connect to the first movie, but they don't do that here. So now we have an entirely pointless villain who was never mentioned in any of the other movies or the TV show, and was brought in here to create a gigantic continuity error. And they kind of tease in at the end that this is the person that's going to become Ursula, but there's nothing here that indicates that this woman, that this Sally Field plays, is going to turn into Ursula, except for that little bit they threw in there at the end. I mean, Bambi 2 kind of had the same thing. Like, Bambi had a bully character named Rollo, and some people were saying that, you know, that's the bully that's eventually going to meet up with Bambi when Bambi grows up and tries to get with Feline. And that makes more sense because he looks like the same deer that Bambi fights when we see him all grown up. But, I mean, that makes sense in that movie. Here, it does not make sense whatsoever. I mean, this thing could have had the potential to be a pretty good prequel. Tell us more about the world of Aquatica. Expand on the world you've invented here. But by going for a cliched storyline and a pointless antagonist that doesn't connect to anything we've seen beforehand, you have an incredibly pointless but beautifully animated and, for the most part, well-acted movie. Regardless, it's not worth it in the end. It's a disappointing effort, to say the least, and I wanted so much more out of it. Some might say, you know, if I could sing like Ariel from Part of Your World, I want more, like that type of stuff. But, yeah, I wish there was more in this to really enjoy, but I can't do that, unfortunately. So, a hard skip on The Little Mermaid, Ariel's beginning. And as it was Ariel's beginning in this, it was the end of, as I said, the Disney direct-to-DVD movies, because they were moving on to other forms of direct-to-DVD movies, and there was competition coming in from back at the time, their biggest animation competitor, with Warner Brothers, who were starting up their own direct-to-DVD library and starting it off with their own series of animated movies. Not starting with this movie here, but probably the most notable of the three they had done at this point, Batman Gotham Knight.
I'm willing to put my life on the line to do what I have to. But it has to be mine, no one else's.
So yeah, I forgot to put Superman Doomsday in the 2007 leftovers, because that was officially the first of these DC animated films that started out being produced by Bruce Timm. And of course, Bruce Timm, for those of you who don't know, was the main guy behind Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League, all those shows you used to watch back in the 90s, and all, like, he's part of the reason why those shows were memorable, and why everyone got excited when they started doing these movies again, because you were having him come back after so many of these movies that were coming out after 2001, after Justice League came out, were not really all that good. Superman Brainiac Attacks wasn't that great. Mystery of the Batwoman was, it wasn't that bad overall, but it definitely felt lesser compared to some of the stuff that was coming before from these guys. But they were the main producers on these movies, and Batman Gotham Knight was the biggest one they had up to that point, because we had The Dark Knight coming out around that time, and this is a anthology film in the same style as The Animatrix. Now, of course, The Animatrix was 9 different short films from 9 different animators centering around the world of the Matrix, and like that movie, we have this film here, which is 6 different segments. They're all different segments with different animation styles, different people behind it, and they're not necessarily meant to be canons in the Nolanverse, and all of them have Kevin Conroy as the voice of Batman in them. You have a story that's basically kind of a movie version of the episode of The Legend of the Dark Knight from Batman the Animated Series, where you have these kids telling the story about Batman and all these different stories that they have, and then Batman comes in at the end to fight a bad guy, and they become part of the story. Then there's a second story called Crossfire, where Batman and James Gordon has to send out Crispus Allen and Anna Ramirez, and they go out to fight this Russian mafiosa, and This guy Maroni, played by Rob Paulsen. I gotta say, Rob Paulsen as Maroni was surprisingly pretty good. I mean, you're hearing Yakko Warner saying "son of a bitch" and "I'll kill her," I swear to God, and the way he's doing it, like, it's pretty fun to watch. And of course, Batman shows up at the end to save the day in that one. The next one you have is Field Test, which is the one that features Lucius Fox, played here by Kevin Michael Richardson. And in that one, Bruce Wayne, it's basically a Bruce Wayne storyline where you have an accident involving a new Wayne-Comp satellite gyroscopic electromagnetic guidance system, which gives Lucius Fox an idea to create a device with a satellite's gyro with an advanced sound sensor that will electromagnetically detect small arms fires. Bruce Wayne takes the device and attends a charity golf tournament by developer Ronald Marshall, once again played by Corey Burton, who played him in the previous segment, with whom he discusses the mysterious death of a woman and who opposes some of Marshall's plans. And of course, Batman comes in to go after him, and that leads to the end of that story. In Darkness Dwells is one where you have Batman going up against the Scarecrow, and I believe he also goes up against not Bane. Is Killer Croc in that one? Killer Croc is in one of these. Yeah, Killer Croc is definitely in this one, because I remember the fight scene that he and Batman get into, and it's really good. Like, it's a really, really damn good segment. Working Through Pain is basically continuing from the story of In Darkness Dwells, where Batman gets shot in the stomach by a man hallucinating in the sewers of Gotham, and he's basically taken back to his time when he got to go ahead and do surgery, when he was a surgeon in, he was basically assisting a doctor in performing anesthesia back in the day, and the whole thing is basically how Bruce experiences managing pain and where that'll come from. And it's a very intriguing short, blending the past and present nicely and showing us a nice take of how Bruce overcame his pain and his fears to become who he is today. And then the last one you have here is called Deadshot, and this you have, of course, this is where you have Deadshot in here, played by Jim Meskimen, who also plays James Gordon in here. And all these segments are really, really good. I think they do an amazing good job of giving Batman all these unique and visual animation styles, while also blending in a lot of really good stories, decent character development, and also some really good, pretty tense, and exciting action sequences in this. I mean, this is really, really impressive stuff. The Animatrix was good, but there was only about half of the segments in there that were actually really damn good in that one, and only half of them were about 50-50, so-and-so. I mean, the whole thing was pretty much 50-50, but the best stuff in there, probably the Final Flight of the Osiris, and maybe the one where the kid, there's one in the Animatrix where a kid, I think, is trying to commit suicide. I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember half of the shorts being good, but here, this really is a pitch-perfect direct-to-video film, anthology film, where everything just works, it comes together so well. It's a terrific film. It's one you should definitely check out. But before we had Batman Gotham Knight, we had Justice League, The New Frontier. This is based off of course, Darwin Cook's graphic novel of the same name. It focuses on test pilot Hal Jordan, played by David Boreanaz, and the Martian Manhunter, Miguel Ferrer, and also features a story that includes DC characters like Barry Allen, The Flash, who's played by Neil Patrick Harris, Superman, played by Kyle MacLachlan, Wonder Woman is played by Lucy Wallace, Batman's played by Jeremy Sisto, and the story is that World War II is over and the Cold War has begun. The age of the superhero is in decline. Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman, who survived the anti-hero sentiment of the Cold War, as well as eager newcomers like test pilot Hal Jordan and scientists Barry Allen and Ray Palmer, team up to defeat a threatening alien presence on Earth. And the 50 style definitely works towards the film's advantage, giving it a real interesting period piece vibe to it. 3 years, of course, before the first Captain America brought that to the live-action scope. And again, you can definitely see that Bruce Timm's contributions to the film are definitely present. He gives these films this terrific visual style and stays true to the comics that the films are based on. everybody in the cast is working very well here. A lot of the actors in here are very good here. Not only do you have the names I told you before, but John Hurt is in here, Brooke Shields, Kira Sedgwick, Phil Morris, Keith David, Vicki Lewis. They're all playing these great superhero characters, and they're doing a pretty damn good job of it. It's nicely tight. It only runs about an hour and a half, less than an hour and a half. I think, actually, less than that, an hour and 15 minutes, which is not that long at all. But it moves at a good enough pace, and it never feels like a point where they're just padding it out for the sake of padding it out. The animation is great in this. The action sequences are top-notch. It's a smart, solidly written, beautifully animated, tense, and well-acted movie that proved that DC can really... Warner Brothers was ready to compete with Disney with these animated movies going straight to DVD, and they were just on a roll. I mean, they were just coming out of the gate swinging with these movies. These are really good films. Justice League: The New Frontier is really good, but the best one of these three that we've talked about, that I've talked about up to this point, Batman: Gotham Knight. Although I really like Superman: Doomsday. Superman: Doomsday is a good movie. I should have brought that up in the 2007 leftovers, but if I'm picking the best one, it's definitely Batman: Gotham Knight, but Justice League: The New Frontier is definitely very much high up there. It's just showed the beginning of what was to come from the DC universe animated movies they were doing. But so with that said, let's go to another Warner Brothers direct-to-DVD movie, one I talked about when I talked about Get Smart. Here's the spin-off film, Bruce and Lloyd: Out of Control.
After you've seen Get Smart in theaters, meet the brains behind the intelligence.
Bruce, Lloyd, where are you two going? Early lunch?
Yes? No? Why?
Good Lord, we're in the spy business. Lie better.
Because when it comes to secret weapons,
You guys are geniuses.
nobody does it smarter than Bruce and Lloyd.
Whoa. Optical camouflage technology. A little something Bruce and Lloyd been working on. And spin it, and spin it, and spin it.
What are you doing?
I thought I was invisible.
Even if you were.
Now, their greatest invention has gone missing.
This was taken outside the Paraguayan embassy. We can't have a hostile dictator in possession of the invisibility technology.
And Get Smart's gadget guys have to get it back.
She's the one that stole the OCT?
You simply entrap the female target, in this case, Isabella. Use her to get into the embassy.
Hello, I'm Isabella.
Hello.
On July 1st,
What do you think of Heidi?
Does he speak?
If you relax, your death will be much quicker.
Bruce and Lloyd are out of the lab. Oh, shit. Out of their league.
Holy Lord.
Dude, you said that really. Holy Lord!
And out of control. Not one word. Get Smart's Bruce and Lloyd out of control.
Mayday, we got sprinklers.
He's not responding.
Aboard! Aboard! Aboard!
Great. Now we lost the Jaime head.
Found it.
Buy it July 1st on Blu-ray and DVD.
So yeah, this was a really odd thing to do. Shoot a second movie while you're also making this much bigger movie with Get Smart, and I don't know what I don't know what the whole concept was. Like, was this planned all along, or was this kind of like Anchorman, where they had so much lost footage from maybe a subplot they would have had with these two characters, and just said, "Fuck it, let's make a movie and send it straight to DVD." I don't know. I don't know if we ever found out how this actually came to be, but is it any good? In here, you have Nate Torrance and Masioka, who are Bruce and Lloyd. And both being national security agents, the CIA and Control have a sometimes friendly, sometimes not so friendly relationship. Control may now have the upper hand in the rivalry when Bruce and Lloyd, two of their nerdish inventors working in the Gadget's laboratory, are close to perfecting their optical camouflage technology, aka an invisibility cloak. This is much to the chagrin of their counterparts at the CIA, Bob and Howard. Bob and Howard, I believe, are played by... Howard is played by Brian Callen. Mitch Ross is the one who plays Bob. The more personal rivalry between Bruce Lloyd and Bob and Howard is fostered by their respective bosses, who happen to be competitive twin brothers, both played by Larry Miller, who had a cameo in the bigger Get Smart movie. And Bruce and Lloyd may be in deep trouble when their own prototype of the OCT goes missing. They initially believe that Bob and Howard may have it, or worse, it has fallen into the hands of Control's arch enemy, Chaos. But they discovered that it was stolen by a beautiful woman named Isabella, played by Marika Dominicics. I think I'm pronouncing that name right. You saw her in the 40-year-old virgin as Paul Rudd's eventual girlfriend at the end of the movie. But she's working for a country, Maragway, and Bruce and Lloyd, with Bruce's girlfriend and fellow control technology geek Nina at the side, go on a mission to retrieve the OCT back from the Maragwanian government, who they learn has ties to Chaos. But they also learn that Bob and Howard are also trying to retrieve the OCT for the CIA's glory, and that Isabella is working on her own personal agenda. So, yeah, a lot of stuff going on in here. So maybe this was always meant to be a movie that was supposed to be on the sidelines with the original Get Smart movie, but they do have a lot of the same people from Get Smart in here. Like, they have Patrick Warburton and Terry Crews in more substantial roles. Like I said, Larry Miller has a more substantial role. The secretary, who had a brief cameo in the beginning of the movie, of the first movie, has a little bit of a bigger role in here, sort of. I mean, she's still kind of not the main focus of the film, but I mean, she still has a little bit of a major part in here. Even Anne Hathaway shows up in here for a little bit of an uncredited cameo to kind of tie everything back to the original movie, because this is supposed to take place during the events of the first movie, when Control is has been under lockdown, and it's, for what it is, it's not a bad idea, and it is a competently made movie. It's a film that I think is a good film. It's not as good as Get Smart. I think the original Get Smart movie is still the best of the bunch. But then again, it's really not saying a whole lot, because this was a movie that was made on the side, and it was made by a lot of the same people who were working on that movie. So yeah, it's reasonable to expect the direct-to-DVD movie to not have that same spark as a big theatrical release. It has Steve Carell, Anne Hathaway, Dwayne Johnson, and Alan Arkin among its cast. But for what they give us here, with a lot of notable character actors, or actors that weren't at the time as well known as they are nowadays, like, I mean, Patrick Warburton, Terry Crews, not a whole lot of people really know who they are if you don't watch a lot of television. But yeah, it's a chance for them to get a chance to shine in here. You know, Masaoka from Heroes, I mean, he's proven that he's not just the guy from Heroes. I mean, he's been in a lot of other films where he gets to show what he can do, and this is one of those movies. Nate Torrance, a great character actor who gets a chance to shine in this film. A lot of good talent all across the board in here. I think it's a good movie. I think it's a very enjoyable film, and I think if you like Get Smart, you can find a lot of value in this film in general. It's not going to have that same spark as the Get Smart movie did, but it's still a fun movie overall. It's still an entertaining film, and while I'd say it's definitely worth checking out. Definitely check this one out if you saw the original Get Smart movie. Bruce and Lloyd, Out of Control. So let's go to the next movie here, which is another Disney direct-to-DVD movie, but a notable change from their stuff that they had done before. Let's take a look at Tinkerbell.
Have you ever wondered how nature gets its glow? Who gives it light and color as the seasons come and go? The secret is, it's all the work of fairies. And within a special place called Pixie Hollow, fairies of every talent practice their magical abilities and prepare for the change of seasons. But one day, a very special fairy would arrive with a magic like nothing they'd ever seen. You know her name.
Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell? Tinkerbell.
Now, discover the story of the world's most beloved fairy. How she came to be, found her place, and changed her world forever. Tinkerbell, an all-new movie. Coming soon on Disney DVD and Blu-ray.
So yeah, this is definitely a notable change from what Disney was doing with their direct-to-video movies, because Little Mermaid Ariel was beginning with the last of the direct-to-DVD sequels, and most of the animated movies they were doing straight to DVD eventually just became this franchise they were trying to set up, the Disney Fairies, with Tinkerbell being the first one of that series. The spin-off film, of course, of the character from Peter Pan. And notable because this was the first ever time that Tinkerbell ever had a speaking role in here. It was originally supposed to be Brittany Murphy, but then she was passed over for Mae Whitman, of course, from I keep thinking she's... Well, she was on Arrested Development, but Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. She's been a prolific voice actress for so many years, but she took on the role. She became the voice of Tinkerbell, and follows Tinkerbell's origin story before she met Peter Pan and works out in a place called Pixie Hollow and struggles with what her talent is. And from the get-go, from that trailer, you could pretty much tell who this movie was aimed for. Little girls. Girls under the age of, like, maybe 10 years old at the most, but maybe even lower than that. It's a movie that wasn't meant to be on the same level as something like A Little Mermaid Ariel's Beginning, although that was made for little girls too, but like, at least the Disney animated movies were made for families in general. This is a movie that's made for little girls and little kids in general, and for what it is, it's perfectly salvageable for what it is. I mean, there's nothing really all that wrong about it per se. It's nothing really that great either, but it is what it is, and I think the target audience will enjoy it for what it is. A great voice cast overall in here. Not just Mae Whitman, but Kristen Chenoweth, Raven-Symoné, Lucy Liu, America Ferrera is in here as well. Jesse McCartney. They have prolific Angelica Houston, Jeff Bennett, Rob Paulsen, Pam Adlon. I mean, they have a lot of good names in here. Sometimes there's a good joke here and there, but other than that, again, it is what it is. It's a movie that is clearly made for little girls, little kids in general, and it's not made for somebody like me in my 30s to really get into. And yeah, it really isn't. Me personally, I don't think it's anything that special. But again, it's not made for me. It's made for little kids, and for little kids, it's perfect for them. There's nothing bad about it. It's a completely harmless movie. And it is a film that if I was a little kid in general, maybe not as a boy, but I probably would have enjoyed this for what it is. But as it is, it's just it is what it is. Like you can tell what it is from the get-go, and if you go into this movie expecting anything more than that, you're going to be very disappointed by that. But other than that, it is what it is. Tinkerbell is a pretty good movie overall for kids, but that's all I got to say about that one. So let's go ahead and move on to, let's get to some more adult stuff here. Yeah, we're going from Tinkerbell to Extreme Movie. That's what we're doing in this bitch.
Chuck, I'm ready to take things to the next level.
We're gonna do it?
I think I'm ready to take things to the next level.
What other level is there?
I want you to stick it in my... Next level! Next level!
Welcome to Great Bay High School.
We got a lot to do and a little time to do it.
Where young minds are shaped.
Sexuality is a living, breathing thing. Partner up, people.
Stacy needs a partner. We've been trying to tap that since the 5th grade.
I don't think there's any girls left.
Class, I'd like to introduce you to our first gay couple. Mike, I think you're going to be on bottom.
And the real education
Never gonna get lucky.
I met a girl in a chat room.
Well, maybe I'll give it a try.
begins after class.
We should meet. Come to 429 Covington Avenue, apartment 8. Wear a mask. Doing anything special tonight? Nope.
Did somebody order the... You won't be so feisty when I'm...
From the studio that brought you the original Scary Movie.
Are you sure you know what you're doing? Gotta make sure she's really hot.
Comes a movie so outrageous.
You ready? I'm ready.
So, who goes first?
You won't believe your eyes.
We've been friends for a really long time. Maybe it's time we take things to the next level.
Next level?
Extreme Movie.
I'm your sex toy. You don't even have to wear no Jimmy hat.
I mean, Jesus, I didn't think anything could kill Kevin Hart more than Soul Plane, but that came pretty close. I mean, that was literally right up there. And yeah, that trailer completely lies to you. This is not one of those generic teen sex comedies. No, this is a sketch comedy movie. And they don't tell you that in that trailer there. That makes it look like you're watching something like Sex Drive or another American Pie movie. But no, nothing could be further from the truth on this movie. This is a sketch comedy movie focusing on teen sex, and I guess teenagers is and a little bit of an overstatement here, because I mean most of these people in here are not even close to teenager range. But This is a series of vignettes starting with Matthew Lillard's sex advice intercut with every couple segments. You have a character played by Ryan Pinkston trying to impress his crush Stacy. One character, Fred, played by Michael Cera, meets a girl on land, and they arrange for menacing action, only for Fred to break into the wrong apartment, as you see in the trailer there. The promiscuous Betty goes to the next level, kinkier and kinkier, with more outrageous sexual adventures with Chuck, played by Frankie Muniz, and later Fred. Justin buys a vibrating vagina, Justin played by Andy Milonakis, and falls in love with it. All the time while crushing on another girl, the vibrating vagina has a personality of its own and commits suicide when Justin rejects it. There's a real sex-esque sketch where a girl attempts to have sex with two black men on campus. Two guys, Barry and Leon, one of them played by Kevin Hart, and the other played by, if this is the same thing I'm thinking of here. Well, yeah, okay, here it is. It's weird. I'm looking at the cast list here so I can find both of their names here, but they have Kevin Hart's name, who's Barry, at the top, and Leon, the other guy, is all the way down at like 6 or 7 on here. Is played by Jermaine Williams. Jessica, is played by Regan Wallace, in an attempt to become horny, puts a vibrating cell phone in her vagina, only for it to fall in. Len, played by Ben Feldman, wakes up to find another girl in his bed, and his parents home as well. The whole thing turns out to be a hidden camera bisexual show. Sex education teacher Mr. Matthews, who's played by John P. Farley, teaches his class with no rules and a lot of embarrassment, usually centering around Ryan Pinkston's Mike character. And Ronnie, who's played by... Again, they don't have all these names listed on here. Hank Harris... I think I'm getting that right. Hank Harris, obsessed with Abraham Lincoln, creates a time machine and travels back in time to have sex with Lincoln. I feel like I just got dumber as I kept reading the synopsis, and it doesn't help when the DVD cover for this looks absolutely abysmal. I mean, just look at this. Look at this. What am I even looking at here? Like, were people really suckered into watching this movie with that? Like, they just took a stock picture of both Matthew Lillard and Jamie Kennedy. That's not even... It doesn't even look like Michael Cera. Ryan Pinkston, like... just is dropping trout for no reason whatsoever. There's a girl here in a dominatrix outfit, which is not the same girl we saw in the trailer, and there's a random blonde girl who's naked over the unrated thing, because if you watch it, you're going to see boobs, and I guess that's all that matters to this fucking movie. But the weirdest thing about this whole thing is that the writers on this movie, these are not hack writers. Will Forte, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, Andy Samberg, Akiva Schaffer, John Solomon, Jorma Taccone, Erica Rinjova. These are not hack writers. These are writers that we know have gone on to become great writers in their own rights. But man, what a mess of a movie this is. I mean, this is unbelievably bad. I mean, it's like somebody saw the Kentucky Fried Movie, which you should see. Like, that's a sketch comedy film that works. That is very offensive, very raunchy, very sexy, and is just so goddamn brilliant. I mean, that's a John Landis Zucker Brothers production that is definitely worth a watch. I feel like somebody who was watching that and said, we can do the exact same thing, except we can make it even stupider, right, and make it dumb. Because the Kentucky Fried Movie was it dumb at times, but sometimes it could be really, really smart and really, really funny. But here, oh my god, this was an abortion to watch. Like, even if I had to watch it for free online, like, I feel I wasted 75 minutes of my life and I'm never getting back watching this goddamn movie. That's how bad this movie is. This is a terrible, terrible movie. And common sense would have probably told me to stay away from it back in the day, which I did. And then, knowing that I had a chance to talk about this and say, I'm going to watch it, why not? How bad could it possibly be? And it's like you're making Friedberg and Seltzer movies look better by comparison. I mean, that's how bad this movie is. That's how terrible this pile of garbage is. Just, again, I think that right there is everything that you need to know to not see Extreme Movie. There are so many better things you could be doing with your life than watching this pile of garbage. You can go see an uplifting World War II movie with Daniel Craig. That's our last one we have here. Let's switch over to that awkward transition to Defiance.
The Day of Freedom is an act of faith. sent by God to save us.
Well, of course he is. He's James friggin' Bond. I mean, what else did you expect? But this is of course a World War II movie set during the occupation of Belarus by Nazi Germany. And this is an account of the eponymous group that led by Polish Jewish brothers who saved and recruited Jews in Belarus during World War II, of which one of them is Daniel Craig. We also have Liev Schreiber, Jamie Bell, and George McKay, along with Alexa Davalos and Mark Fairston among the cast here. This is directed by Edward Zwick, and Edward Zwick very rarely misses on a movie. I mean, the worst things he's done, like The Siege and all that, had some things about it that made it work at times, but yeah, it's definitely a film made by somebody who knows what they're doing, like who has an idea of how to make this work in general. But even with all that said, this is definitely not one of his better films. This guy's made a lot of good movies in his career, but as much as the casting overall is really good, Daniel Craig I thought did a pretty good job in here, so did Liev Schreiber. The script itself is pretty generic overall. It feels like it's trying to combine both Saving Private Ryan and a little bit of Schindler's List into one, and kind of failing to do that on a number of different levels. Like, even the war scenes in particular that they show in here are really not as spectacular as they could have been. I mean, it's, like I said, not a bad movie overall, but just definitely felt like a film that had so much more that they could have done here, but it just wasn't worth it in the end. So, unfortunately, a skip on Defiance, even though it's not as bad as it could have, as I made it out to be early on, but it's definitely not as good as it could have been, especially considering who's directing this movie, with Edward Zwick. So, mixed opinion, but mostly leaning towards a negative on Defiance.
Of course, every wedding has a story, but the one I'm thinking of isn't about a bride and a groom. It's about a bride, and it starts at the Plaza Hotel 20 years ago.
My wedding will be the happiest day of my life. I think it's beautiful.
It ain't June.
And it ain't the Plaza.
Are you ready to catch this bouquet?
I'm feeling kind of strange, 'cause of all the things.
Liz, will you marry me?
Yes. We're marrying 1 o'clock, and we're each other's maids of honor.
I had 3 openings at the Plaza. 2 the 6th, 1 the 27th.
Oh, my parents' anniversary's the 6th. It's so meant to be.
Oh, then I'll take the 27th.
You want to discuss this with the grooms?
No. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh my God. It's stunning.
Maybe I should keep looking.
Get the dress. Marion.
Your wedding dates have been booked on the same day. Which one of you wants to choose another venue?
What?
One of us will just have to get married on a different day. One of us will have to be flexible. Well, one of us can look at different venues.
Yeah, one of us could.
It's crazy. They haven't spoken for like a week. It's like a century in girls' ears.
You send out your save the dates?
Surprised?
Your wedding better watch it. If I were your wedding, I'd be sleeping with one eye open.
You're right. Your wedding will be huge, just like your ass at prom. Your wedding can suck it. Just a pre-wedding glow.
Wow. What the hell happened to you?
A little spray tan surprise.
You can't ignore this. That way the terrorists win.
Make sure it's not so ashy. My hair's blue! It's blue!
Wait! Your clothes are gonna have to come off.
Fletch didn't think it was that bad.
Well, honey, he's your fiancé. He probably thought your hair looked nice, too.
Oh my God, this movie. You know, it's not a very good sign when you had a critic at the time this movie came out literally saying that if this film does not end up on my worst of the year list for 2009, then I will quit my job. No joke. BBC 5 Radio's critic there, Mark Commode, was notably harsh on this movie and literally said on his show that if Bride Wars did not end up on his top 10 worst films of the year, he would quit film criticism. And sure enough, at the end of the year, there it was at number 8 on the list behind Terminator Salvation and Couples Retreat. But yeah, it's a movie so bad that it made people want to quit film criticism if it didn't end up on the worst of the year list. And really, from the look of it alone, I mean, just everybody involved in this movie should be doing so much more than this, and just This is bad. This is a really, really bad movie. You have two childhood best friends played by Anne Hathaway and Kate Hudson who have many plans to get... They made many plans together for their respective weddings, turning into sworn enemies in a race to get married first when their wedding planner, Candice Bergen, accidentally puts them on the same day by accident, and now they can't do it because the next time they want to put a date on there, they have to get it 3 years down the road. So apparently in the time it took them to get the 2 dates to start with, which is basically about a week or so, 3 years worth of weddings got set up then. That's the beginning of the many, many problems with this movie, because the logic in this movie makes no sense whatsoever. Nothing about this movie makes any sense whatsoever from the way these two act. Kate Hudson and Anne Hathaway are two great actresses. I mean, they have been Academy Award nominated actresses. Anne Hathaway has won an Oscar for Les Miserables. And you can say what you want, but this is the movie that probably killed her chances of winning an Oscar for Rachel Getting Married. I feel like this movie did for Anne Hathaway what Lorber did for Eddie Murphy, what Movie 43 did to Hugh Jackman. You know, when you make a bad movie it comes out at award season time, somebody's trying to sabotage your chances of getting this. But then again, you shouldn't have taken this movie in the first goddamn place. Kate Hudson and Anne Hathaway are such horrible, horrible people in this movie. All they care about is getting married. Not just getting married. No. That would make them somewhat normal. But no, they want a wedding at the Plaza Hotel. It's got to be at the Plaza Hotel, and it has to be in the month of June. Why? Because every bride has to have the perfect wedding. And yeah, I get it. Bridezillas is a thing that people like to watch on TV all the time, but I don't watch reality television, and because I'm a sane person, and I don't want to root for somebody that I'm supposed to hate. I don't want to root for somebody I hate that I'm supposed to get behind. And yeah, this movie is exactly that. And it doesn't help that these two are psychotic stalkers. Like the way that they force their boyfriends to pop the question. Like Kate Hudson, literally, when she finds the wedding ring, runs over to his office and basically just begs him, you know, why won't you marry me? I saw the ring. Get me married. It's just like, it's like a toddler. It's just like, what are you doing? Like, what is the point of all of this? Like at that point, the dude should have just said, you know, we need to take a break because you are freaking me the fuck out right now. But hey, to their credit, the grooms are never seen for a majority of the movie. Like, they are literally out of the movie for a good 80% of the film. And yeah, it's weird because it's just like the movie's focusing on the brides. The grooms barely show up in the goddamn movie. And even then, you never believe the relationships between them and the grooms they're about to marry. They feel like they want to get married just for the sake of getting married. And again, it doesn't help that these two are acting like psychotic stalkers who really just want to bang themselves at this point. Because I swear to God, there's literally points in the movie where you feel like this is going to turn into a lesbian romance between Kate Hudson and Anne Hathaway, which really could have made the movie a whole lot better. But then you look at the rating and realize, oh wait, this was rated PG. Why is it rated PG? Because the Motion Picture Association of America didn't screen this fucking movie. That's the reason why I think this movie got a PG rating, because there is nothing in this movie that is different than the PG-13 romantic comedies, which are much better and much more enjoyable than this piece of garbage right here. This is an abortion of a movie. This is my second worst movie I saw in 2009, behind another bad comedy that we'll get to at the end of the year. But seriously, fuck Anne Hathaway and Kate Hudson in this movie. Fuck all these characters in this movie. You took great actors and wasted them on this pile of shit. You took a great director in Gary Winnick who did 13 Going on 30, and you forced him to make this movie. And it's just like, and Charlotte's Web too. Like, this is a good director. What the hell happened here? Like, you don't care about anybody in this movie, and you especially don't care about the women in this movie because they're acting like spoiled crybabies because of a fucking wedding date. You don't feel sorry for them. You just want to punch the shit out of them for acting like idiots. And I know you shouldn't punch women. I don't want anybody to get the idea that you should do that by any means necessary. Do not punch a woman. I mean, that's basic common knowledge there. But I'm sorry, this movie made me want to do that, and I should not have to feel like that, but yeah, you shouldn't feel that way at all, but that's how you feel after watching this movie. There's nothing clever about it or cute. It's so mean-spirited and painful to watch. This movie was an abortion to sit through. In a year where I had so many bad comedies in 2009, so many bad movies this year that made my list in here. I mean, we haven't even got to one of the other movies I've ever walked out on. We haven't gotten to Year One yet. Old Dogs, like All About Steve. This was a bad year for comedies, even though this year had some good comedies, which we'll get to. But yeah, this was just a disaster. It's so bad I'm burping at the thought of me thinking about this movie again. I just had pizza for dinner before this. That's why that's good pizza, by the way. Shelley Pie Pizza. If you ever come out to Monroeville, Pennsylvania, or Turtle Creek, definitely go there, or Vincent's too, because it's basically the same pizza. I personally like Vincent's better, but Shelley's is pretty good. But you don't want to hear me talk about food. You want to hear me talk about this garbage movie. I'd rather talk about pizza than talk more about this movie. Really, there's not much more I can say about it. As I said, it's so mean-spirited. It's so painful to watch. It's an abortion. Like, this is an unbelievable mess of a movie. Like, I could not believe that somebody greenlit this and thought that this was A-okay, because, my God, what a disaster. What a disaster. And believe it or not, it at least gets better from there, because we've just looked at the worst movie of the week. Here's the second worst movie of the week, The Unborn.
Keith, there's nothing wrong with your eye. One iris is a different color than the other, which happens occasionally when you're dealing with twins. I'm an only child.
The co-writer of The Dark Knight.
Am I a twin, Dad?
You would have had a brother. He died when you were both in the womb.
This is gonna sound crazy. I'm being haunted by something.
January 9th.
This thing is trying to use you as a doorway.
Witness the birth.
How do I stop it?
The Unborn. Rated PG-13. January 9th.
Or let's just call it what it really is, a Gen X version of Rosemary's Baby with Odette Yustman showing off her ass. Not just in the movie, that is literally the poster. I mean, here. There it is right there. Like, that's the reason why this movie has any notoriety to it, because of that. If that's what you really try to sell your movie off of, then chances are your movie ain't that fucking good. But like I said, Odette Yustman from Cloverfield stars as a younger woman who's tormented by a Dybbuk and seeks help from a rabbi played by Gary Oldman. And the Dybbuk seems to use her death as a gateway to physical existence. So like I said, it's Rosemary's Baby again. It's a younger version of Rosemary's Baby, except not as scary, not as intimidating or terrifying, and just prove that maybe David S. Goyer should probably stay away from directing movies. And this is his movie he wrote too, so maybe basically this is just a bad move in general to do this altogether. This was the last thing he directed too, so he went back to writing, which is the reason why he became known in the first place. But yeah, this movie is a disaster. I mean, this is a terrible movie. It's essentially just, like I said, a Gen X version of Rosemary's Baby. It's literally a movie where, it's the same premise as Rosemary's Baby, except she's not giving birth to the devil. She's giving birth to some supernatural creature, but it just isn't scary. Nothing about this movie is scary. It's your typical modern day jump scares, and it's all over the movie. There's nothing intimidating. There's nothing terrifying. All you're doing by watching this movie is just wasting your time and thinking that you're going to see some ass or some boobs on the screen. I mean, like I said, the poster literally is telling you, come see the movie not to be scared, but take a look at this woman's ass. There's a reason why we have the internet, people. That's the reason why. So you don't go see garbage films like this. So, yeah, you can go ahead and avoid The Unborn like the plague. So, with that said, let's get to the best movie of the week, and that is Not Easily Broken.
Are you gonna hoop later?
Yeah.
Good. I feel a little spare tire.
On January 9th, experience a story about the times that keep us real.
You guys think I'm getting fat?
Yes, your butt. Jay gets bigger.
Morris Chestnut, Taraji P. Henson, Kevin Hart, and Jennifer Lewis. From best-selling author T.D. Jakes. Directed by Bill Duke. Not Easily Broken.
I love you. I don't tell you enough.
Dre, are you crying?
What? You right. I probably had enough.
Yeah.
I probably had too many.
Rated PG-13, January 9th.
I mean, a better movie for Kevin Hart than Extreme Movie was. I'll give him that. And you've got people I like in here: Morris Chestnut, Taraji P. Henson, Eddie Cibrian, Jennifer Lewis, Niecy Nash. In the film, you have a couple, Dave and Clarice Johnson, who reached a breaking point in their marriage, and when Clarice is injured in a car crash, her mother, Mary, intervenes. Mary, played by Jennifer Lewis. The obvious truth that more than just her injuries need immediate attention is exposed. Clarice begins to be treated by Julie, played by Maeve Quinlan, a physical therapist, and Dave develops a friendship with Julie and their young son, Bryson being played by Canon J. The acceptance and comfort Dave finds in the two stirs his longing for a family and passionate partner. When Bryson unexpectedly dies in a swimming accident, Dave and Julie's relationship grows closer as Clarice pulls farther away. So you get the idea here. It's a movie we've kind of seen before, done to death in so many occasions. This is based off of a book by T.D. Jakes, who actually did make a movie that was associated with one of his works that was pretty good, and that was Jumping the Broom, which came out 2 years after this. A really good movie, which we'll definitely get to that when we get to that. But of all the films that we've talked about on the show, this one is the one that comes the closest to being a good movie. Is it? No. Its biggest flaw is that it's a very melodramatic movie, but you've got good people in here. I mean, you can never go wrong with Kevin Hart when you put him in the funny movie, when you put him in a good role. And Kevin Hart's pretty good in here. For the few times he actually gets some moments in here, it actually does work. And you know me and Taraji P. Henson. Anytime she's in anything, I'm there, man. That's my girl right there. Not really my girl, but I like seeing her in a lot of movies. But Morris Chestnut's always a great actor, too. I mean, it's good actors in this movie trying to elevate very much melodramatic soap opera stuff. And Bill Duke is a good director. Bill Duke has, of course, made a lot of great movies. Of course, he's made A Rage in Harlem, Deep Cover. You know, he also did, what's the most recent film he did that I like? I think maybe it was Deep Cover. Because, yeah, it's been a while, because I'm looking at some of the other films he's done. The Cemetery Club, I don't remember too much about. Sister Act 2, I didn't think was that good. Hoodlum, not bad, but not great either. I think, really, his two best films came in the early part of his career with A Rage in Harlem and Deep Cover. And maybe this is probably his third best film overall. I'd have to go back and look at that, per se. But, yeah, this is a film that, it's not a great movie. I'm not even going to say it's one you should check out. But compared to the other two movies we looked at, this movie's like an Academy Award contender compared to Bride Wars and The Unborn. Like that, this is not a good week for movies. And to say that this is a film that is actually somewhat tolerable, somewhat passable, I guess I could say that in particular, but it really is a movie where there would literally have to be nothing else on TV or anything to watch on DVD or Blu-ray to get you to watch this again, to watch this one time around. Because, yeah, I watched it once. I never really want to watch it again, per se. Not because it's bad, because I don't really feel like there's enough warrant there to watch it all over again. So, yeah, mixed opinion, but not bad, but not great either. Not easily broken.
On January 16th, welcome to our mall. Enjoy your day with the kids.
Keep the balls to bed. Can you please? That was close to the eye.
Because nothing says family
This is gonna be great.
like Blart.
Blart? Peanut, Blart, and jelly. What's up, man?
Kevin James is Paul Blart, Mall Cop.
Are you the guy that crashed into the minivan?
I don't think so. Which one?
That one.
That one was me.
PG.
Shocking for many reasons. One, that trailer was not doing that movie any favors. Two, there was a lot of family films out there. I mean, I don't understand why all of a sudden we had to go bring the kids out to see this movie. I mean, Bedtime Stories was still playing. Marley and Me was still playing. I mean, like, there were so many other family films out there that you could have gone to, but no, let's go ahead and watch this PG rejected version of Die Hard. I mean, that's what this movie is. And that's the third reason why I'm shocked that this movie did well. It's basically a PG version of Die Hard. And four, movie ain't that good. I mean, I saw it back then, and I didn't think it was all that bad, but this is one of those movies where just time has gone on, and I've realized that more and more that this is not a very good movie. And it's just like, why the hell did I... Watching it again, I really thought to myself, why the hell did I give this movie any kind of praise? Because, good lord, this movie is bad. Like I said, it's basically a PG, watered-down version of Die Hard, where you have Kevin James as Paul Blart, a single dad and a bumbling mall security guard, who finds himself in the middle of a heist and the only one in position to rescue the hostages. And, yeah, if you've seen Die Hard, you know all the tropes they're going to do, all the twists and turns, but we're not going to do it in the R-rated movie world. No, we got to do this in the PG-rated world because, Why the fuck not? Let's go ahead and waste the talents of Kevin James, because at this point, Kevin James is pretty much going to waste the rest of his talents on bad Adam Sandler movies, and yeah, we're going to get to a lot of them in the months and years to come. But this should have been a warning sign of the things to come, because good lord, yeah, this movie is absolutely bad. I mean, in some world, this probably could have been a good movie. There probably is a good idea to do a kid-friendly version of Die Hard, but not in a movie like this. I mean, Home Alone 3, as bad as that movie is, and I hate Home Alone 3, it's one of my worst movies of all time, but Home Alone 3 at least had a good hook to it, where it was basically the same premise as this, except it wasn't a PG-rated version of Die Hard, but it was pretty much was the Home Alone equivalent of Die Hard, where instead of, you know, the young kid going up against bumbling burglars, here is in the third film, it's a kid who's sick with the chickenpox going up against 4 international terrorists. Who can't stop a kid with chickenpox? Try to figure out the logic there, but this is not about Home Alone 3, this is about Paul Blart Mall Cop, and as I said before, this is a movie that really took all the goodwill Kevin James had at this point, and just kind of faded it away, and it's just the same, man, because the guy was funny back in the day, but every movie he's done since then has either been not as good, it's just been him being Adam Sandler's big fat guy, because Chris Farley's been dead since 1997, and I guess if Chris Farley hadn't died, he probably would have been the star of this movie. And Chris Farley could have probably made it good if he was still alive, but unfortunately he's not, and there's just nothing interesting about this movie at all. Kevin James comes off as a real nut job in this movie, but like, it's weird because we have 2 mall cop movies in 2009. The Observer Report is the better one, but yes, Seth Rogen in that one is more psychotic and insane as this guy is, but like, he's a nutcase because he thinks that he's more than worthy of getting this girl who works this kiosk played by Jay Monet, some epic movie, which, I mean, it's better than a Freeburg Seltzer movie, I'll give it that, but everything that you've seen in Die Hard is in this movie. Like I said, the twist is who's working for the bad guy, who's double-crossing everybody, and instead of it being the badass movie that Die Hard was, it is literally jokes that are not funny. I mean, there's literally not one single laugh in this entire movie. And it's hard to believe that, I'm still baffled that I gave this somewhat of a positive review. Not a great review per se, but I came out of it going like, oh, it wasn't that bad, and then I realized now, after all these years later, yeah, this definitely was worth it. Really, it all began when we got Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 in 2015, which was already past the point where you were way past doing a comedy sequel. Nobody cared about Paul Blart in 2015. That was something that just came and went, and it's baffling that this movie became the blockbuster hit that it was, because it made over $183 million worldwide. But truth be told, that most of that money came from the U.S. I mean, this thing in the U.S. made, I think it was like let me see. Yeah, $146 million. It was somewhere around that. So, $183 million, $146 million of that came in America. This is why everybody thinks America's stupid, because we spend all our money on this garbage. Meanwhile, the international audiences barely put in $40 million to this movie. That just tells you everything you need to know about how bad this movie is. This is not a good movie. This is a really, really terrible movie, and this is one of those regretful movies that I gave it a pass back in the day. But I'm glad I have the opportunity now to say that, yeah, this made me completely take back everything I said that was good about this movie. This movie sucks. Avoid Paul Blart Mall Cop like the plague. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is My Bloody Valentine 3D. Ah, the good old days of using people in a movie theater and trying to promote your 3D movie by having the screen is the moments in the screen coming at you, and the audience going like, "Oh, we're really scared," when they're not. Nobody really is that scared watching this movie. What you're basically doing is just trying to get your significant other to go home with you after the movie is over so you can have sex, or spending your whole time with your 3D glasses watching the naked woman that's literally on the screen and fully putting out her naked body in 3D. And in that case, yeah, this kind of makes it worth it for that. I mean, okay, I'm saying negative things about the movie. The movie clearly knows how silly and stupid it is. This is directed by the same guy that did Dracula 2000, but Dracula 2000 took itself too seriously. This is what happens when you have a director that clearly knows what he's doing. He knows what kind of a project he's working on. This is a remake of a 1981 horror movie of the same name, which, when you really think about it, it's pretty much just an in-name remake, because it's not really anything too connected to the original movie, pretty much. But in this one, you have the focus on the residents of a small town that is plagued by a serial killer in mining gear on Valentine's Day, who is believed to be the same murderer who had thought to have died a decade prior. And what follows next is a series of setups and slashings, but all in 3D. The screen has nothing against the power of the 3D glasses as the killer throws his axe at you. I mean, like I said, they knew exactly what the fuck they were doing, and for what they did, they made kind of a fun movie overall. I kind of wish I would have seen this on the big screen. Probably would have enjoyed it a whole lot better than Paul Blart Mall Cop the weekend I went to see that, but like I said, it is what it is. It's a movie that you go into it knowing it's not going to be any smart movie. It's not going to be an endearing love story between the main couple in the movie. You're there to see the killings and the boobs and all that, and all in 3D. If you go into it knowing that, you could probably have a good time with this. I mean, this is pretty much that kind of a film. So yeah, it's stupid, it's ridiculous, but it's a fun little guilty pleasure. My Bloody Valentine 3D. So let's get to the good stuff finally. The real good stuff. Not like so bad it's good or just so bad it's bad. The stuff that actually does make this weekend worth it. Let's take a look at Notorious.
What'd you say at the beginning of your rhyme? B.I.G.?
Biggie Smalls. It was all a dream. He was a Brooklyn kid who dreamed of making it big.
He can change the world, Biggie Smalls.
His son has something special.
What kind of grown man calls himself Puffy?
On January 16th.
Are you a bad guy trying to be good?
Or someone chasing a dream. Experience the biggest motion picture event of our time.
And if you don't know, now you know.
Rated R. Everywhere, January 16th.
It's funny that they dumped this in the middle of January, but believe it or not, this is probably one of the better musical biopics I've ever seen, because this one doesn't play it safe like most musical biopics do. It's not afraid to go into the cold hard truth of who this guy really was, but this is of course based on the life of the notorious B.I.G., and much of the film dramatizes key events in Biggie's life, including his criminal lifestyle, an arrest and release from prison, his relationship with Sean Puffy Combs, who serves as the executive producer on this movie, Tupac Shakur, Lil' Kim, and Faith Evans, his involvement in the East Coast-West Coast hip-hop rivalry, and of course his drive-by shooting in March of 1997. And it stars Jamal Woodard as Notorious B.I.G., also Angela Bassett playing his mother, Derek Luke playing Puff Daddy, Anthony Mackie's also in here as well, Notori Naughton playing, who's she playing this? Lil' Kim, you have Anthony Smith as Faith Evans, and I gotta say, man, they did a hell of a good job of making these women look like Lil' Kim and Faith Evans, because, good lord, they actually looked really beautiful in this, especially in the Notori Naughton. This was the first time I ever saw her or anything, and man, she looked good. Like, she's really beautiful to look at, and she's a good actress too. Everybody fits their roles in here very well, and like I said, it's a movie that's not afraid to tell the cold hard truth about who Notorious B.I.G. really was. I mean, he's a talented rapper, but he got involved in situations that, yeah, it's going to feel uncomfortable to sit through if you're a member of the B.I.G. of Notorious B.I.G.'s family. Actually, Chris Wallace is the guy's name, of course, and his mother actually was one of the producers on this movie. Which is interesting, because if you remember Spill.com and Martin Thomas, who was then on Leon on that show, went to a press junket for Notorious in New York. It was a great experience to listen to, but it was a horrible experience for him. If you ever want to look for that clip, is out there on YouTube, so go look for that. It's on Let's Do This. But he was talking about what was going on during the press tour, and when they actually saw the movie, Biggie's mother, who was a producer on the film, didn't like the fact that they basically told the cold hard truth, and she's just like, she's basically saying, my baby never hurt nobody, and you didn't know that because they didn't want you to know that type of stuff. And like, I like the fact that this movie had the balls to go in and say, hey, we're not going to play this safe. We're not there going for a movie that's going to be safe and marketable like most of today's biopics are. I mean, really, a lot of the biopics we have nowadays are very safe and marketable, and they don't want to cover the dark stuff. They don't want to cover the heavy stuff that should be involved in these movies, and that's why a lot of these movies that we've had of recently, like the Whitney Houston biopic, the Bob Marley biopic, and the Amy Winehouse biopic, were really not that good, and especially wasting some really good leading performances on a generic-ass script. And this one does not do that, but because you have good people working on it. George Tillman Jr., the director of Drumline. I paused it just to make sure I got that right, and I did not. But this guy has directed good movies. Soul Food, Men of Honor. He would later go on to direct The Hate You Give, a criminally underrated movie. But Reggie Rock by the Woods, one of the writers on here, Chio Hodera Coker, also wrote the script on this. You could tell that they wanted to tell the story of Notorious B.I.G. and not skimp over the stuff that we wanted to see more of, the darker elements, the stuff that probably will not make the family of the Chris Wallace happy, but you got to tell that part of the story because that's just as important as all the other stuff in there. And it is what it is. It's a good biopic that shows what this guy left behind, but also is a movie that's not afraid to go for the dark stuff too, and it works very well. Everything about the film I thought worked really well. I thought the acting was great. I thought the performances were really good. The story worked very well, and it does keep you on the edge of your seat, which is what a good biopic should do. It doesn't go the safe and marketable route, and it works on so many levels. It's a very underrated movie. It's one I highly recommend checking out. Notorious. Easily the best movie this weekend. But the last movie we have here is not quite that bad. Let's take a look at Hotel for Dogs.
For Nickelodeon's new movie, Hotel for Dogs, we invited the toughest critics to a special screening. Here's how they reacted. The critics agree. Hounds are howling over Hotel for Dogs. Mr. Puddles of the Wolfington Post gives it 2 paws up. That's cool. Movie Vote's Lady Jezebel says Emma Roberts is fetching. You look gorgeous. U.S. Straight Today raves. The gadgets in this movie are beg-worthy. Retail wags. That's awesome. Nickelodeon movies Hotel for Dogs. Now playing. Rated PG.
God, I miss when Nickelodeon used to have fun with their marketing campaigns. I mean, that's one that you only see on Nickelodeon, and you can tell they're putting the time and effort to make a silly, fun commercial. I mean, a theater with all these dogs watching this movie. I mean, you don't really get that with a lot of their movies nowadays. It's just the typical stuff you see all the time. And very rarely do you get to see them going all out on these commercials that are only going to be shown on Nickelodeon because it's their movie behind this. And this is actually the second film they produced with DreamWorks Pictures. And it follows the story of a 16-year-old girl played by Emma Roberts and her younger brother Bruce, played by what's the name on here? Jake T. Austin from Lizzie McGuire, who find themselves in a foster home with a strict no pets policy. They must use their quick wit to find a new home for their dog Friday, and when they stumble into an abandoned hotel, they realize they can transform it into the perfect place for Friday. As well as all the strays in the city, what begins as a crusade to save one dog becomes a high-stakes adventure as everyone around them starts to wonder who let the dogs in. So essentially, it's basically the dog equivalent of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. You got this place where all these dogs are going to, and it creates an overall harmless, fun kids movie. It's a film that, yeah, on the one hand, it is very much that, a harmless kids film, but at the same time, even kids probably would look at this and go like, we're not that stupid here, guys. I mean, I'm not saying it's a great movie, but I'm not saying it's a bad movie either. It's a movie that's pretty much the equivalent of fluff. You watch it, you're amused by it, and then you forget you even saw it by the end of the day. It's like vapor. It just goes by you without a single notice. How's the cast? They're alright. How are the dogs? They're fine. How's the humor? It's fine. How's the story? It's fine. I mean, literally, there's not much more you could say about this one. I mean, there's nothing offensively bad about it. It's basically just 100 minutes of watching dogs doing dog-like things on screen. And there's nothing wrong with that. As long as it's entertaining, as long as it's completely harmless, which this is. But it doesn't leave the lasting impact that once you see it, you're going to immediately forget about it as soon as you watch it. I mean, I've watched this a couple times in my life, and every time I watch it, it's just like, that's not so bad, but I never thought about it 24 hours later. I mean, I'm literally going to forget about this movie 24 hours from now when I'm moving on to the next week's movies. But, I mean, what is there left to even say but Hotel for Dogs? It's fine. Fine for what it is.
I've lived by their rules my entire life. And for what? We can be slaves, or we can be lighters!
On January 23rd, you have to find me for the last time. Prepare yourself for the battle that started the war. Underworld, Rise of the Lycans, rated R.
Well, at least that werewolf looks better than American Werewolf in Paris or the more recent movie Wolfman, which, yeah, those Wolfmen were not that memorable. But this is Underworld: Rise of the Lycans. This is actually a prequel to the Underworld series, even though it's also considered the third installment of the series. Kate Beckinsale is in the movie, but at the very end of the movie, like she appears very briefly. You can almost make the argument that they took that from one of the other two movies, but this is focusing primarily on the origins of the characters and the events that lead up to the Vampire-Lycan War. As I've said with the other Underworld movies, I'm not the biggest fan of these movies per se. I thought the first two were just meh, and this one really wasn't doing itself any favors either, but I mean, you got Bill Nighy in here, and Bill Nighy will usually turn in a good performance regardless of what the film is that he's in. Michael Sheen is also in here too. Rhoda Mitra is basically the main character in the movie, replacing Kate Beckinsale in this, but it's just more stuff we've seen done before and done much better in other movies. I don't know. I just never really got into these Underworld movies per se. I like them better than the Resident Evil films, but never to the point where I would say that any of them are really all that good. This one, I think this one was just kind of them pushing their luck and seeing if they could do this without Kate Beckinsale, and it is what it is. I mean, if you got to go into it knowing what it is. If you don't, then you're not going to like it that much. I knew what it was going into it, and I was just kind of like, whatever. Like, I really don't have much of an opinion on this one in particular. It's just kind of the same way I felt about the other movies. Nothing really stuck out to me with those other movies in general. But, yeah, this one, yeah, like I said, not much more to say about that one. We can be very quick on both of these movies, honestly, because neither one of these movies that we have here are really memorable whatsoever. Case in point, the second and last one we have here, and that's Brendan Fraser leading a cast that includes Helen Mirren in Inkheart.
This is the story you have been waiting to hear.
On Friday, I read
Your voice brought them out of the book.
You can journey to a world where fantasy
Unicorn. My money.
becomes reality.
Why didn't you tell us?
Would you have believed me?
An adventure lives on every page. From the best-selling book, Inkheart, rated PG, starts this Friday.
And I know what everybody is thinking, because I was thinking the same thing. If this guy can say the name of anybody out of a book and bring him out of the book, get this guy some Playboy magazines and let's get this party started. But let's get some Playboy Playmates in this bitch. Hell, let's even get Hugh Hefner in on the party. He knows where the girls are at, but yeah, that's the obvious joke you gotta make with a concept like this. But Brendan Fraser plays a guy named Mortimer Silvertongue Fulchart. It's a weird last name. Fulchart has the special talent to bring characters out of books. One night, he brings out 3 characters from Inkheart, a story set in medieval times and filled with magical beings. Capricorn, played by Andy Serkis, and Basta, played by Jamie Foreman, and two villains, and Dustfinger, played by Paul Bettany, a fire eater. Now, 10 years later, Meggie, played by Eliza Bennett, discovers the truth, and it's up to her to escape Capricorn's evil grasp. This also has Jennifer Connelly in here, as well as Jim Broadbent, so there is a decent cast in this movie overall. The premise, joking aside, is actually kind of intriguing. This is based off of a book of the same name by Cornelia Funke, and written by David Lindsay Aberry, who has actually written some notable stuff. But yeah, it's an interesting idea, just not a very good, well-executed movie. This is the type of film that, you know, it's trying to be something like the next Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter. Take a beloved, popular young adult book and turn it into the next movie. And with a better director, I think this movie, and a better script overall, I think this could have been really, really good. There's too good of a cast in this movie, too talented cast in this film to not make this intriguing, and it just doesn't come together overall. Like, there's so many good ideas that you have here, And just the script overall falls into predictable territory we have seen done to death before so many times before in the past. And it really gets old really fast. I mean, this thing gets really old really fast. The cliches are there. None of these characters are really likable, and it just doesn't have a motivation to do something unique and different with it. And like I said, a better director and a better scriptwriter could come in and probably make this movie a whole lot better than it actually is, but it's just not there. It's just not there in this movie. And it's a bummer, because there is a good idea in here, just not good execution overall, so... yeah, another mixed opinion, this time for Inkheart. Should have been so much better, but it just isn't.
Dad!
Oh, my darling. Happy birthday.
Dad, guess what? You know my friend Amanda? Yep. Her cousins asked us to spend vacation with them in Paris. I really, really want to go. Hi, Daddy.
You were supposed to call me when you left.
There's someone here.
What?
Oh my God, they got Amanda. They're coming.
All right, listen to me. Go to the next bedroom. Under the bed. Call me when you're there. Now, the next part is very important. They're going to take you. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you're looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it.
We have a 96-hour
what?
to never finding her.
No.
But if you don't, I will look for you. Where is she? I will find you. I will kill you.
Good luck.
I mean, just those lines from Liam Neeson, like anybody else who tries to say that line in the way that he does in this movie probably would get laughed at, but Liam Neeson just has that perfect voice for that speech he gives. You know, you don't know who I am, I don't know who you are, but I have a very special set of skills. And, you know, like just the way he says it, just the way that voice comes out of him like that. I mean, it's one of the reasons why this movie is pretty damn awesome. You have Liam Neeson starring as Brian Mills, who's an ex-CIA officer set out to track his teenage daughter Kim, played by Maggie Grace, and her best friend Amanda after they'd been kidnapped by Albanian human traffickers while on vacation in France. Which, one of the things I found kind of funny in this is that they have Maggie Grace playing a 17-year-old when she clearly is someone in her mid-20s. I mean, if I remember right, I think she was like 26 when this came out or something like that. Yeah, 26 when this movie came out. She was born in 83, so yeah, 2009, 83. Yeah, 26. But you really don't get... They do a pretty good job of, like, making it work. I mean, it kind of distracts you at first, but as the film goes along and you get invested in the storyline, I mean, it just works out very well. It's a really good movie where everybody plays their parts well to a T. Liam Neeson is awesome in this movie. A lot of people said this was a turning point in his career where he essentially became an action star with this film, and I mean, I don't know about that. Liam Neeson's starring in some a lot of really good movies between Schindler's List and this movie. I mean, I don't want to say that this was like a movie that was coming after a bad stretch of movies, but no, he had a lot of good movies. Batman Begins, Aslan and the Chronicles of Narnia movies, Kingdom of Heaven, Kinsey, Love Actually, Gangs of New York. A lot of good movies with him in there. Although I will say that kind of after this movie came out and the Taken movies came out as a whole, everyone was trying to make the next Taken, and more times than not, they were not successful movies. Every once in a while, you get something good like The Gray or Nonstop, but yeah, most of the time, it's just forgettable stuff like Unknown. Most of the movies he's done recently. In fact, right now, he's in kind of a lull with movies that he kept making with Briarcliff Entertainment. But then you look at what just happened recently with the Naked Gun trailer coming out. I mean, I hope that's a movie that's a turnaround point. I hope it does for him what the first movie did for Leslie Nielsen with that, turning this dramatic star into more of a comedic star in general. Even though he was very much like that beforehand. I mean, the Lego Movie, A Million Ways to Die in the West, Ted 2. I mean, just I mean, the guy is a great actor any way you look at it, but you know, Taken is one of those movies where it's just like, it's a movie that seems very formulaic. It seems very much something that we've seen done to death before so many times, but what really makes it work is Liam Neeson just kicking ass in this movie. The action sequences are absolutely incredible. The tension is really good. I mean, everything about this movie just works so well, and it just plays very well in so many ways, shapes, and forms. It's no wonder why this thing became the huge, unexpected success that nobody was expecting it to, especially when you consider that it's opened up on a Super Bowl weekend. Super Bowl weekend was this weekend in particular, and I remember this because my Pittsburgh Steelers were playing in that Super Bowl and won a close game against the Arizona Cardinals. But the fact that this movie did as well as it did, I mean, it didn't just make its money back within the first weekend. It, like, stuck around. Like, it was a massive, massive success. And it eventually led to a new franchise, which, unfortunately, nothing really has ever topped what this movie has done. This is a great movie. Should have just been a one-time thing because, man, they destroyed it with Taken's 2 and 3, man. But the original Taken is still a great movie, still a classic film. Liam Neeson is amazing in this. Just a good, fun action movie all across the board. What more can you got to say, man? Taken, excellent, excellent film. So let's go ahead and get to the movies you kind of expect to see on a Super Bowl weekend. Movies that the studios had no real faith in and said, well, let's put this out on this weekend. And then we can make the excuse of, oh, you know, the Super Bowl was on Sunday and nobody was going to go to the movies. It's just like, no, you wanted to put this movie out there because you wanted to forget all about it. Because you know how terrible it is. Case in point with our first film, The Uninvited.
I know that you're supposed to hate Dad's new girlfriend, but we can make this work.
What if a stranger became part of your family?
This doesn't feel right. We need to find out who she really is.
What if she had a secret
Children's bodies found buried.
no one could imagine?
We all have things in our past that we're ashamed of. It's Rachel. She's not who you think she is.
That is ridiculous.
Pretty little Anna. You got me.
Uninvited, rated PG-13, January 30th everywhere.
So we just had The Unborn. 10 years from now, we're going to have The Unholy. We had a movie called Undead. I mean, we're just going to find every word that starts with un and just put it as the name of a horror movie. When's the next horror movie that's going to be called The Uncircumcised coming out? Because you know that's the next logical direction we got to go with this. But no, this is The Uninvited, which, yeah, considering that The Unborn just came out 4 weeks before this, I'm sure people didn't get confused by the title of this when they were trying to see the movie. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody went to go see this garbage. After her ailing mother dies in a fire, teenage Anna, played by Emily Browning, attempts suicide and is sent to a mental institution for treatment. After 10 months, she still can't remember what happened the night her mother died, but her psychiatrist, Dr. Silberling, discharges her, telling her that she has resolved her issues. Her father, Stephen, played by David Strathairn, a successful author, brings her back to the isolated mansion near the coast, where she finds that her mother's former nurse, played by Elizabeth Banks, is now her stepmother. Gee, I wonder who did it. I mean, okay, let me finish this up here, but really, do you really need me to finish this? Anna is happier to see her beloved sister Alex, who is swimming in the sea. Alex and Anna decide to look for evidence to prove that Rachel murdered their mother and to investigate the fire in the boathouse. Her sister being played by Ariel Kebbel. And, but yeah, man, like I said, do you really think do I really need to explain why this movie didn't work? I mean, it's a story we've seen done to death before so many times. It's a movie that's clearly trying to be the next Ring. I mean, it's literally produced by the same people who did The Ring and Disturbia. And even the advertising campaign is so similar to The Ring. I mean, they even use the same font as The Ring in that trailer. It's just like, you're not being clever with this at all. And the thing is, there's a good movie in here. The cast is pretty good in here. You've got David Strathairn, Emily Browning, Ariel Kebbel, but really the big breakout of this movie is Elizabeth Banks. You forget that Elizabeth Banks is can not just be a really good comedic actress, but she has range. I mean, that's the one thing I give this movie credit for. I mean, she's given it her all in this movie, and you could tell that she took a lot of inspiration from Rebecca De Mornay's character in The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Even though I didn't like that movie all that much, I will say she does a lot better job of being more threatening and menacing in this movie than Rebecca De Mornay did in The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, at least in my opinion. But yeah, other than that, though, we've seen this story done before so many times, and it's yet another remake of a J-horror movie. Everyone's trying to copy the success of The Ring, so why not have the studio who made The Ring try to do it again? And Yeah, it just didn't work because, yeah, it's a plot we've seen done to death before so many times. And sooner or later, you're just going to have to realize that The Ring was a once-in-a-lifetime moment where you're never going to be able to top what you were able to accomplish with that. And it kind of worked because there was a little bit of a time when we didn't get any more of these J-horror remakes. I mean, they tried to bring them back later on in the next decade, but never to the point where The Ring made it, if The Ring just blew the doors open for that. But this, yeah, it's about as bad as you can get. The only thing I'll say that's tolerable is the casting in here, especially Elizabeth Banks. But other than that, though, you have no reason to see this movie whatsoever. And you certainly have no reason to check out our last movie either, which, man, talk about a movie that feels way, way, way too dated. I mean, the next movie we have here is a film that I could not believe was made in 2009. This is a film that wouldn't have worked 10 years ago. This wouldn't have worked 20 years ago. Hell, this wouldn't even have worked 30 years ago from this point. New in town.
The plant's losing money. Who's going to handle this?
I can do it.
Joan, book Lucy to Minnesota this weekend.
Minnesota? What is that? We call that snow deer. How bad can it be?
Comedy. And that is every single joke in this goddamn movie. I'm not even kidding with you. The main crux of all the jokes and the humor in this is that, oh, this woman who's used to warm weather has to go to a place that's cold, and go and work in a place that's cold. There's the comedy. Like I said, this movie wouldn't have worked 10 years ago, 20 years before, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years. It's like, even in the 50s when movies like this were the norm, this would still seem so dated and so awful. This is a terrible movie. But anyway, Reese Witherspoon plays a Renee Zellweger. Sorry about that, but I get my names confused here. But Renee Zellweger plays a high-powered consultant in love with her upscale Miami, Florida lifestyle, who's sent to New Ulm, Minnesota, to oversee the restructuring of a blue-collar manufacturing plant. After enduring a frosty reception from the locals, icy roads, and freezing weather, she warms up to the small-town charm and eventually finds herself being accepted by the community. When she's ordered to close down the plant and put the entire community out of work, she's forced to reconsider her goals and priorities and find a way to save the town. Gee, haven't heard that plot before except in Gung Ho, Doc Hollywood, frickin' Cars. I mean, just why? Why was this movie made? And yeah, you thought that Bride Wars was the worst PG romantic comedy to come out in January 2009? Okay, technically it still is, but not even close to it still is. But this is right up there with how bad this is. Like, there's nothing about this movie that is clever. There's nothing about this movie that's charming. There's nothing about this movie that's funny. They waste a good cast in this movie. Harry Connick Jr. playing her love interest in here. I mean, this guy is a really good actor. Not only a great singer, but he's a great actor. J.K. Simmons is in this movie, and he's probably the only one who's given it his all in here. I mean, he actually gained 40 pounds to play the role he's in. Like, he wears everyone thought that he was wearing a fat suit during this movie, but no, he gained 40 pounds for this movie. A noble cause by him, but I'm just thinking to myself, why did you waste your time on that with this movie? Nobody gave a crap about this movie. This thing just burned and just was dead at the box office almost immediately because we've seen the story done better in other movies. Like I said, the ones mentioned before. Like, even Cars did this much better, and it's so ridiculous. It's so stupid. It's just a waste of all this talent, and they spent all this money making it. I mean, granted, it was not a small budget, but even $8 million for a movie like this, I could make a movie like this much better for less than $8 million. At least the film I would have done would have been a little bit more different, more unique, something that completely wasn't just a ripoff of everything that had come before, every other comedy like this that was done before this. I mean, just this movie is inexcusably bad. This is one of those movies where it's just like, this should not have been released in theaters. This should have been one of those movies that I wish we would have had streaming services back then, because this is the thing that would have been perfect for streaming service. But no, this should have been something that should have been seen on Lifetime and not star an Academy Award winner in Renee Zellweger. This should have had somebody like, I don't know, Candace Cameron Bure or Melissa Joan Hart, whoever was starring in a lot of those Lifetime movies back then. Maybe not Meredith Baxter Birney, because she was getting a little old up there, but you get the idea here. This film was just This was not good. This is the movie this is the perfect definition of a movie that does not give a fuck about your intelligence and just want. It's like, here's the thing. A movie like this can work. It can work if you do, but you have to do something new and different with it. And they don't do that at all. It's everything you expect to see in a movie like this. The plot points, the twists and turns. You know, there's going to be a wire reveal. There's going to be a third act breakup. You know, it's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. This movie is awful. This is up there with some of the worst movies of the year. I actually don't think I had this on my worst of the year list, but I'd have to double check again. But if it's not up there, it probably would have been. It's probably close. Probably my 11th or 12th worst movie on here. But yeah, it's a bad movie. It's a really, really bad film. Avoid New in Town like the plague.